Hey everyone, welcome to my channel as a married man. I want to thank you all for tuning it in and checking it out. It is here where we talk about love, life, relationships, and more, all from the perspective of a married man. So please go ahead and hit that like button for me and please subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. So today, everyone, I'm going to be doing a review section. If you're familiar with the movie Inception, I'm basically going to be reviewing a review of a review or something like that anyways. But this video, it came across my YouTube recommended videos, and it's pretty similar to my last one. Um, I guess the algorithm is kind of on to me at this point. Relationship videos, 90s techno and 80s anime. It's pretty much what fills my recommended videos lately. But anyways, guys, I apologize. Today's video that I'm reviewing, it's from a legend in the manosphere. His name is Rich Cooper. And it's from his channel, Entrepreneurs in Cars. The video in question is titled, She Made Him Wait 4 Years and Then Did the Unthinkable to Him. So, quick shout out to Rich Cooper, Entrepreneurs in Cars. I appreciate it. I will post a link to his video, to his channel. Please, guys, go ahead, check him out. Um, describing someone, describing a post, it'll probably confuse you. I'll be paraphrasing a lot, so definitely go over there and watch the video for yourself for more context. And of course, give him a sub and, check out his merch. Still some love my way, of course. I think I'm almost at 50 subs, so I'm ecstatic about that. Can only go up from here, I think. But anyways, let's get started. Um, which basically he starts by narrating the post that was on Reddit. I think it was on Reddit, maybe. Um, but it's honestly it's kind of heartbreaking as it is amazing. And then the post, which is discussing, it's about a dude who waited 4 years for sex and only to have his former girlfriend, give it up in less than a week to some random Chad. But as Rich states, the post basically, yeah, it's about a guy who he kind of figures out who the beta male is and who the alpha male is, and the real status of this relationship that he had with this woman. But as we stated earlier, the title is She Made Him Wait Almost 4 years, but then let someone hit it in like less than a week. So like, he's asking, am I wrong to be, am I wrong to be angry? This guy's asking. And yours continues. I'll paraphrase as they said. But the story starts with this guy. He meets this girl, and out of respect, he waits almost 4 years just for some intimacy. And, the ex-girlfriend, she had exclaimed at one point that she wanted to wait. She wanted to wait for a moment where it kind of felt right. And with the love blinders on, he, was more than happy to oblige. So he waited and he loved her enough. Um, but come this January, all of a sudden, this girlfriend of his, she tells him that she wants to take a step back from the relationship. She wasn't in the right mindset, she states. But once she sorts herself out, she'll be back. And yeah, y'all know where this is going. Yeah, she'll be back once she kind of finds herself, and she'll let him know, and they can continue on. Yeah, of course, this dude was very happy, and he's expectant, and he's waiting. However, reality hits, and as of late, his girlfriend, she had been ranting to him about another guy in her friend circle, some random chat, and she was stating, this guy's gross, and he won't stop hitting on her, and he won't stop complimenting her and her body, and at one point she calls him an F-boy. I'm sure you know what that means. But the boyfriend, he tells his ex-girlfriend, to stay away from this dude. He sounds like nothing but trouble. And of course, she promised she would. And however, she called him soon after, telling him that, hey, you know what? I kind of just slept with this guy. Yeah, she calls her boyfriend and literally tells him, yeah, I slept with him. I don't know how it happened. It just happened so fast, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, of course, the dude, he's devastated, like literally. But he wanted to ask and he wanted to know, like, was it consensual? Like, what happened? She reiterates, she goes on to tell him, like, no, I just wasn't thinking straight. I didn't have my head in the right place. And she goes on to bomb him with the text messages and apologies and typical behavior if you've read enough of these stories. But my man here writing the story, he's just an emotional wreck. He's confused, he's angry, he's upset, and he's asking, how could she do this to me? Um, but some of the wording that he actually uses while writing this is important. Just keep it in mind. He finishes up this post as Rich is reading it, and he says, like, quote, part of me feels guilty about how I feel, since I know she didn't owe me anything, and she owns her own body. I'm not usually anywhere close to being a misogynist. I remember those words, guys. Remember how he states that. She doesn't owe me anything. She owns her body. I'm not usually a misogynist. Like, that's kind of telling as you read this story. You listen to Rich narrate it, and even Rich muses. It's kind of a funny choice for a word for a guy to actually use. No normal guy usually refers to himself as a misogynist. But the guy writing the story, the dude here, he finishes off the post by stating, like, he feels his heart has been bitch slapped. That's kind of how he finishes it off. But we'll continue. There's a couple updates that the dude writes. He states that a little bit of backstory here that they got together at the age of like 15 and 16, and they were each other's first. And as of now, he's 21, she's 20. Um, but it, his ex-girlfriend, she went on to tell him, like, due to my mental state, I don't think we should talk to each other anymore. However, she calls him up and tells him, like, yeah, I kind of slept with Chad again. And not just that, she talks about we shouldn't talk. Yeah, I'm on a downward emotional spiral. I don't want to drag you down with me. She ends up blocking him, but the next moment she's reaching out to him again to give him like some dirty details. I had sex with Chad again, and we didn't use protection, and I let him finish inside me, and I she's saying things to him that's like particularly hurtful because dude, he's always used condoms with her, and worried about pregnancy and whatnot, and now all he can think of his ex-girlfriend, whom he held in such high esteem, is she could be filled with diseases, she can be pregnant, and she burned any bridges of reconciliation, and that's basically the highlight of the story there. Poor guy's he waited 4 years. His girl ends up cheating on him not once but several times, and she tells him, "Oh, let's not talk anymore," but then goes on to like give him all these lurid details and like literally just destroying this guy emotionally. And like Rich is highlighting all this, and yeah, I guess it went viral on Reddit or something. And so Rich reads this story and he wants to give his 2 cents, and I'll give my 2 cents on Rich's 2 cents. So, and could share some of Rich's wisdom too. So, but Rich Cooper, entrepreneurs in cars, he starts out by mentioning alpha seed and beta need. That's a common term in some corners of the manosphere there. Um, that as you navigate life, which goes on to say, you'll find that with women, there's a component to them, and this is what Rich calls GBD. There's a component to women, it's called GBD, that's genuine burning desire, guys. So GBD is what you want from a woman. You want a woman that has this desire and will not make you wait for 4 years. She's not gonna make you jump through hoops. She's not gonna play games. She's not gonna make rules for you. Rich goes on to stay like women make rules for men whom they deem to be betas, and they'll break those rules in a second for guys who are alphas. That story was a perfect example. Yeah, and I'm sure everyone is familiar with this manosphere lingo I'm using. I apologize. Betas and alphas and manosphere and whatnot. But anyways, the dude from the story that Rich just narrated, Rich calls this guy, he refers to him as the beta in waiting. So like as we go over this again, like he waited 4 years for intimacy. You waited 4 years. And soon after, his ex-girlfriend, she decides it's time to, find herself. She needs a break, you know. She needs to go out there and experience things, and those are such red flags, and that's such a familiar story in the manosphere. And even Rich notes like anytime a woman says stuff like that, anytime a woman says, I need a break, she's giving herself an out, and it usually ends up in cheating. Usually there's another guy lined up, an alpha, a Chad, and she's giving herself an out to be with that guy. And then Rich even goes on to say, like, with this story, the back pocket, backup boyfriend beta, he he ends up getting kicked to the curb. But Rich continues, he muses that, isn't it interesting how, this ex-girlfriend, she starts talking about this Chad, like even just talking about him, that's a red flag. Yeah, but she ends up talking about him, calling him gross, calling him an F-boy, and oh my God, he's making comments about my body and making sexually suggestive remarks. And a week later, she ends up betting him. But on top of that, she keeps like calling her poor ex-boyfriend this poor beta, rubbing salt in the wound, so to speak, giving him unnecessary details about how we didn't use condoms and this is how he finished inside me. And, like Rich kind of circles back and, this woman has issues. Um, this behavior she's displaying, there's reasons for it. Like there's mental issues that this woman has, and and she's doing this not because she never respected him ever. Um, she didn't like this guy. He wasn't even an ex-boyfriend, you know? Like she never had that genuine burning desire for this poor beta. He was just someone in her back pocket, like an amusement, you know? And that sucks. Um, but Rich continues, talking about the mental aspect. Like this woman in this post, she had issues, genuine. She even admitted it. Like I'm not in the right headspace, and that's why I did it. That's why I slept with this Chad. Um, but he talks about that a little further, and it's like a lot of young girls, they're not mentally squared away. They don't have a father figure, and they do stuff like this when they don't have that guidance in their life. They'll kind of fuck with guys, um, to see how far they can push the boundaries. Like peer pressure, like environmental, friend group factors. Like there's outside forces at work that push women to do stuff like that. Is what Rich is getting at. Yeah, and it's a familiar story to a lot of guys in the manosphere or anyone who follows relationships in general, like anyone in the dating game, they kind of go through something similar to this. There's some version of this story where that guys go through, where they play the nice guy, they play the beta. Um, they're waiting for that woman to see their worth, like unfortunately, it's a sad fact that a lot of guys, we go through this at one point. We get played, we get cheated on, and yeah, as with the man in the story, this poor beta, it kind of breaks us inside, and it makes us angry, it makes us bitter. Um, like the guy who wrote this little post, he asked, like, am I right to be angry? And like he's consumed with it, unfortunately. Like he's just emotionally devastated. Um, but at the end of the day, this is a story it's as old as time, and we've all been there, us guys who've been through the dating game and are currently in the game. It's something that we experience. And Rich, he ends he ends this by, stating pretty much what I just said, like this is something just guys just go through. It's an experience we all kind of mutually share as we date, as we go through life, and that's just how it is. Um, but Rich has a banger that he states, and it's something it kind of stuck with me. He states that, this is something men have to go through to understand what drives attraction and desire with women. And without experiencing it firsthand, it's difficult to acknowledge it, you know. And he finished it off by stating this sage quote: Truth can't be told, it can only be experienced." And so that was Richard's videos, guys. He recited this little post that went viral. He added his 2 cents, basically stating what we all kind of were thinking. This guy was just a poor beta male nice guy who got played by a woman. We never saw him as more than such. He was never like in a relationship with her. He was just a backup, like a play toy to her. And once that wild Chad came along, like she dropped him like she was nothing, or like he was nothing. And that's just how it is, unfortunately. Um, but to start from the beginning, like, what's my take on this as a man, as a married man? What do I think of this story? What do I think of what Rich had to say? Like, yeah, to reverse this from the beginning, like like Rich tells the story about the beta male nice guy and how he waited 4 years to have intimacy. And, next thing this poor guy knows, she's in bed with Chad, the alpha male. Yeah, for 1 minute, she's complaining about how gross he is, and 1 minute, she's complaining about the suggestive compliments. And the next thing you know, he's in bed with her. And of course, the beta's asking, like, what happened? But as a married man, this one's a little tough for me. Um, it's tough in the sense that, as a married man, I'm a proponent for marriage. I'm an advocate for love, and yeah, I've said it before in other videos. I believe unicorns are real. They're just extremely rare. As I always say, with this story here, as with the last story um, I did a story on would you wait 5 dates for sex? There are women who are worth that wait, and a lot of guys will attest to that. But the reason this one's a little tricky for me is the fact that you have to consider, like, there are women who are worth waiting 4 years for sex, but you have to consider other factors. That's why it's tricky. Like, there's factors this poor beta didn't consider, and he missed so many red flags. And that's where Rich comes in. Like, we need to factor in number one, guys, that's married man, like, factor in the woman herself. Like, was this woman a unicorn? Hell no. Like, not not at all. Like, she stated straight up, like, she had mental issues. And mental issues are a huge red flag. They can be missed, but we have to factor that in. Like, her upbringing and stuff, the fact she gave it away when she was 15, like, did she have parental guidance? Did she have a stable, loving home? Like, you need to, when you look at a woman, when you build a relationship, this is advice from me as a married man. You need to look at a woman's background, everything from her family life to, yes, her mental state. That's a big factor, and whether she's worthy of your time and attention and of marriage material. Um, Second of all, this woman, she was mentioning this Chad in her friends group who was showering her with compliments, yeah, making suggestive remarks and compliments, and like, that's a huge red flag. Like, I did a video a while back, like, talking about, women, whether they're in a relationship or married, who have male friends in their friend circle. Like, you shouldn't have male friends if you're in a committed relationship with another man. That's just pure disrespect to your boyfriend, to your husband. Like, no woman should have male friends if they're in a committed relationship. So that's a huge red flag. She's coming home telling this guy, oh, this Chad is, showered me with compliments, and, she's putting herself in a position to cheat. So that's something this nice guy, like, he told her to stay away, but she didn't, unfortunately. And then, look what happened. The proof speaks for itself. And, like, what kind of woman is she? Like, uh, pure disrespect towards this poor guy. She was nice enough to actually tell him she cheated, not once, but twice, mind you. I think she did that kind of just out of spite. Um, but so in this story that Rich narrated, I'd go as far as to say, as a married man, that, like, as I said, he was never her boyfriend to begin with. Um, and just a beta in waiting, as Rich Cooper stated. He was just a backup. She didn't even see him as the boyfriend. which is why she gave all these disrespectful details like, oh, I need time to myself. I need to get my head straight. And, the next day she's telling about how this guy didn't use condoms and how he finished and, just sheer disrespect. And it's like, there's so many reviewing this story, guys, hearing Rich read it, and just as a married man listening to it, there's just so many red flags and, like so much disrespect. And this woman was not a unicorn. She was just a village breeding mare that this poor beta just happened to hold in such esteem, and that's sad. And that just makes you wonder, that makes you kind of understand that you need to watch how you hold women in regard. You need to not jump in to the deep end so fast in a relationship. And in those 4 years that you're with a woman, if you're with a woman for that long, you really need to be learning about her and her background. And more importantly, as Rich stated, you got to look for that GBD, that genuine burning desire. That's something Rich covers in his courses. But it's sage advice. It makes a lot of sense, and it's very important. Like as a married man, a woman, she can have that genuine desire for you, even without putting out, even without sex, even without, physical intimacy. A woman can still have that burning desire to be with you. And if you're a type of man who is looking for a unicorn, a woman who's worthy of marriage, and if you're willing to wait for a woman, you got to look for that GBD, that burning desire. That desire, it means that you're their one and only. They will make you their sole focus, their passion, and that's how it should be. And as a married man, that should be mutual. That burning desire needs to go both ways. It's a shared passion and a shared desire. And you'll notice in that story, Rich narrated, there was no GBD in that relationship, and it ended in the most horrible way possible. I apologize. I'm about to hit 30-minute marker, close to it, but let me just finish off by stating, as a married man, I'll be realistic. I understand modern dating and men and women. I understand men and women don't wait. Most of the time, men and women don't wait for sex. I acknowledge that. Um, my only thing to say about that is, for those people who are having sex, and want a relationship, you guys need to ask yourselves, is this relationship just sex or is there more? Like, what's the foundation of your relationship? And I guess that's why you want to wait, in the first place. As I stated earlier in my last video, the would you wait 5 dates? Like most guys said yes, which is surprising. But it just shows like most guys, like sex isn't everything in a relationship. And that just goes to show from my perspective as a married man, you need to have a strong foundation other than sex in a relationship. Adding Rich Cooper into the equation, you need that GBD for each other, that burning desire. Um, so as a married man, everybody, the guy in this story, he was the beta nice guy. The tragedy, who the woman in the story saw him as nothing but a backup. And I won't be surprised if she comes calling back pregnant with Chad's kid in a couple weeks, in a couple months, asking and crying and begging for a second chance. But yeah, you listen to enough of these stories, they all start to sound the same. But like, lastly, let me end this fast. I just want to just state that, I like Rich's little bit at the end, where he states, everyone, every guy that's out there, they play the fool, well, so to speak, at one time or another, like we all end up being the nice guy. Unfortunately, we all end up getting played at one point or another if we're in the dating game. As crappy as that is, yeah, it happened to me when I was a youngster. Back before I was a married man, yeah, I got played. I was, a free meal to a woman. God knows, I thought I was dating a woman at one point, and she asked me to borrow $50 for rent on a Saturday night, and my dumb ass gave it to her. It wasn't until that next day where I kind of woke up like, wow, what the hell did I just do? Of course, I got ghosted right after, but that was a hard lesson I learned. Like, we all end up being the nice guy who gets played. But like Rich said, that's how we learn. Um, it's that experience that teaches us, and that and the shared wisdom that we see it happening to other men, and we learn from that. And like that's just part of life. But what do you guys have to say about this? I apologize, I'm past the 30-minute mark. But let me know, everybody, in the comments what you think of this. Yeah, about the poor, protagonist of this story, that poor nice guy that got played. Well, let me know what you think about him, and what Rich had to say, and Rich's comments. Yeah, of course, go give Rich Cooper, Entrepreneurs in Cars. Go out to his channel, give him a comment, give him a like and a thumbs up, and a subscription, and give me one as well. I appreciate it. But yeah, just leave me a comment, guys. Let me know your thoughts on this video. I think I'm just droning on at this point. Um, but if you want to reach out to me, if you got some video ideas, if you got some death threats or G.I. Joe collection in your mom's attic, hit me up. My email is asamarriedman@outlook.com. I definitely like hearing from you guys. I've been getting some emails lately, which is kind of nice. Um, I just want to say thank you, everybody. Thanks, Rich Cooper. Thanks to my almost 50, almost 50 subscribers. You guys keep coming back for this. I hope we'll see you guys in the next video. I appreciate you all. But all right, guys, bye for now.